On Weather and Your Wallet, we look at New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and his plan for rebuilding after Sandy. All in all, the storm did over $50 billion in damage to the New York region, making it the country's costliest storm since Katrina.
Now, Cuomo wants $30 billion in disaster relief from the federal government. For a breakdown on how and where that money would go and if the plan is even feasible, we want to bring in our Vice President of Weather Analytics, Paul Walsh. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. Lots of big numbers, trying to get our heads wrapped around it. But I do want to ask you, the first question, government, can they even afford to pay 100%, which Governor Cuomo wants?
Well, typically FEMA would pay up to about 75% of the damages. And so, already we're seeing, of course, Governor Cuomo coming out. We haven't seen Governor Christie come out and start asking for recovery. But this storm is so big and so unprecedented, it's not surprising that there'll be requests for dollars to come in and help pay for it. Now, FEMA's got about $12 billion they can spend immediately. And so those dollars are going to be spent. But there's just a lot of money that needs to be spent on infrastructure and things like that to put the Northeast back on their feet.
Now, he didn't completely break down all the expenses, but he gave some ballpark figures.
Right.
$3.5 billion to repair the commuter infrastructure, $1.65 billion for homes and apartment complexes, and then $1 billion for local governments. But would this even make a dent? I mean, a lot of money had to be spent to recover after Sandy.
Typically what happens is the dollars that flow in after an event like this generally make the region whole. In other words, they sort of make up for the dollars that were lost, both from an infrastructure and an economic perspective. So that happened in Katrina and all the big storms. And generally what happens when that happens is dollars begin to flow in, and it actually works as sort of a stimulus for the economy, because construction workers then have to come in, they start working, they start spending money, there's infrastructure, and there's sort of ripple effects from that are generally good for the economy. I think the key here will be in looking at this as an opportunity to create resilience, to build structures and to rebuild in a way where this kind of event may not happen or will be mitigated in the future, because the sea levels are rising and the odds of this may actually be increasing.
Now, you touched on it before. We haven't heard from New Jersey's governor yet.
Right.
What is that going to do to the stress on FEMA to pay out?
Well, it's going to become a little bit of a political battle. There's going to be requests that are going to the new Congress. This will probably play out in the first part of 2013. But no doubt, Governor Christie is going to ask for dollars, and clearly there's going to be a lot of rebuilding that needs to go on for New Jersey infrastructure as well. So more to come on that.
And there's other states as well, and you touched on this as well. Like, this is the point where we can start making better decisions about rebuilding. Do we need to move things back from the coast to put power lines underground?
Absolutely.
And that will all cost more money.
It will, but in the long term, those kind of investments pay back. They pay back in terms of de-risking the future, as well as, of course, the economic benefit of putting more people back to work and getting the economy moving again in that area.
Thank you, Paul Walsh. Thank you.
Okay.